I mean, game two, sometimes the game is so bad for a team that I don't know what you take from it, right? Like a super blowout like that one, it's such an outlier performance on both sides that I don't know how much it is that we could take forward. This is what I took out of this from Denver, though. I feel like I've been watching basketball a long time and in a much more professional capacity for the last 15 years, we'll call it, right? Denver looked like a team with something wrong with y'all. I don't know what it might be. Nobody has told me anything, but Jamal Murray doing what he was doing, that was ridiculous. They should have suspended him. I understand why they would not have, but 2 different times throwing stuff on the floor from over there, like it wasn't even in a moment of frustration, right? Like, hey, look. And to be fair, I think my buddy Nick pointed this out first. A little tough for Canada right now. You know what I'm saying? And so who knows?
It's a little rough for him.
Yeah, he might be losing sleep. Right? Like there's a lot of things that's going on right now with Team Canada. Maybe that's what it is. But what he was doing, just looking at their general level of just kind of frustration when they're out there. I know Murray's not 100%. I know that Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is not 100%. But they look to have no constitution, and they look to be getting bullied by a team full of adolescents. And they seem so out of sync with each other that it looked as much like chemistry. Mike Malone, when that call went bad, running from off the bench all the way to the other side of the floor, shockingly not receiving a technical foul. But from the top down, they look like everybody woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Do people still say that?
Yeah, I think they do. I think they still say that. I think,
okay.
You know what's funny, Bo? And this is where they're kind of tricky in NBA history. This is not to take anything away from them, so don't jump in the hives, right? But they didn't play a 50-win team at all last year in their run to the finals. They played a 7th seed Lakers or a 6th seed Lakers and a 7th seed, you know what I mean? Like, not to say that things broke easy for them, but they didn't have the hardest road. They didn't have to face real adversity. They had a tie series one time. I mean, a real tie series. Like that Phoenix thing, you just saw 2 games of incredible shot making that you knew was not going to be sustainable in the semifinals. And then against the Heat in the finals, they lose game 2, and then they go in and smack them in games 3 and 4. This is real adversity, right? And normally championship teams, once you win a championship, and I know this ain't the same NBA that me and you grew up watching, right? But the Houston Rockets of Hakeem Olajuwon, they were called Choke City before they was called Clutch City, right? They had to come down from a 2-0 deficit to the Phoenix Suns, dropping 2 games at home in their first championship run. Not the second one where they came down 3-1, but the first one. We all know what happened with the bad boy Pistons and the Bulls and the Celtics and all those. You had to face a certain amount of adversity before becoming a champion. So then that made you want to hold on to it that much more desperate. This team, once they got whole, they won a title. Where was the struggle? The struggle was getting Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. on the floor. So now they don't have a reservoir to pull from where they've said, hey, guys, remember when we had to struggle as a unit against the Golden State Warriors? Yeah, coach, but I was hurt. Yeah, coach, but I wasn't out there. Like, you can't pull that Remember the Titans speech and say, hey, we've bled before. This is the first time that they're bleeding. And I think that's the frustration there. They don't know how to deal with real adversity because they've never done it before.
They better figure that shit out fast. Because them boys on the other side, them boys done figured something out, okay? Like, they have something going over there. And, of course, this is the rise of the Ant-Man. Have you seen this clip here yet about somebody asking him about the Nuggets roster? Have you seen this yet?
Hey, you talked in that Phoenix series a lot about the way you saw Kevin and how that motivated you. And at your age, it's got to be fun to see all these OGs right in front of you. Is there anything like that in this series? Like, what's your...
Nah, these guys 3-4 years older than me, man, yeah.
I mean, Jamal been around for a minute. Is that a guy that you've been tracking at all?
Nah, hell no. Like I said, what is he, 27?
think so.
I'm finna turn 23, dog. Yeah. KD 36, 35. Yeah. Come on, man. There's no disrespect to Jamal. I don't know what you're trying to start, but yeah, he's no, not at all.
Hell no. Like that he found the question to be so preposterous that he could only assume that it was a setup.
I wasn't there, but I heard about it. And I think it partially stems from, believe it or not, he might be tired of getting asked about these old dudes. You know what I mean? Like, I know we're going through this thing where Ant is the new guy and all the things that the new guy does, we're going to find cuddly and cute. Kind of like we did with Golden State when they were dancing all on everybody. And then the next year, we didn't like all that dancing shit that they was doing. You know what I mean? Like, that's where it is. Like, we don't think about the turn coming with Anthony Edwards. We don't think that he may get tired of our shit in such a way. But he's also looking at these dudes like, who are y'all to aspire to? Like, they won a title, but who are y'all? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but he's like, they don't have OGs. And that leads, by the way, to a very interesting point. And I saw it. I went and counted it up myself. And then I saw somebody, this was a scary moment where I went and was counting it up myself. And then I went on Instagram and it told me there are between these 8 teams that are left, a mere 6 starters over 30. And the only one of them that's like old is Mike Conley. The other 5 are Rudy Gobert, who I think is 31 or 32, Pascal Siakam, who is 30, or Drew Holiday, who's 33. He feel old as shit. I ain't gonna lie. Kyrie Irving, who honestly is only 32.
Is that a young 32? Or it just feels like because he's been through so much, or we've seen so much of him that he should be older. Is that what that is?
Well, yeah, and you know, the thing about like his 32 is we got to remember it's 32 that ain't really played no whole lot of games, right? Like, you know, but a 32 who's been, he looked good. I mean, he's done it this year. Like he's been kind of hater proof this year. But Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is another of the 30s, and I have forgotten who the other one was. But that's interesting. Minnesota got the vets.
Well, here's the other thing, Bo. Like 5 champions in the last 5 years. Is that what it is? And no repeats. And we haven't seen that since the 70s, like the pre-Magic, the pre-Bird 70s. Like we're in a spot. And I talked to Conley a little bit about this because I had noticed the same stat. And I asked him like, hey, have you seen that? He said, yeah, man, I saw it on Instagram. Makes me feel kind of old. But he also said, hey, it means that teams ain't having to wait. You're not having to go through like losing after losing. If you see that you've got a chance, these young dudes are so much more ready and more prepared to take this next step. Think about Anthony Edwards in the way that we talk about him. 22 years old. And we put the Jordan comparison on him because of the level of sophistication on his game. But we ain't talking about 22-year-old Michael Jordan. We're talking about maybe 25-year-old Michael Jordan. We're talking about 1989, 1990, you know, where that fadeaway was wet, but it wasn't as wet as it was. Like, he's bigger than Jordan was at 25 years old. Like, just, you know, bigger, huskier, all that type of stuff. Like, some teams come into this league more prepared to win once they figure out they got a chance. Because, Bo, who are these teams supposed to be afraid of in a second tax apron world where you're not building dynasties and you're not sustaining dynasties? There's no Kevin Durant Golden State Warriors that you need to be afraid of. So once they see they can go and get it, they're going and getting it.
You can turn $10 into $1,000 with playoff basketball and hockey entries today on Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Prize Picks is really simple to play, and you can make your picks and submit your entry in less than 60 seconds. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. So make sure you go to prizepicks.com/Bomani and use code Bomani for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/Bomani. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.